guys, how are you all? Oh, good one. Welcome to our auditing CTA level 1 test 2 revision session. How was the exam? What went wrong? Let's just share in a few minutes. Are you happy with your marks? Are they a true reflection of what's going to happen next month? You're still going to push in the remaining weeks. Okay, I like that. What are your problem areas with auditing? Substantive procedures. All right. So you'll be writing 2 papers this time around. What if you find in the morning it's substantive procedures? In the afternoon, it's substantive procedures as well. What will happen? Sorry? All right, guys, the truth of the matter is we need to go to level 2, right? And you don't want to be stuck in level 1. If you know that you've got problems with substantive procedures, from now onwards, self-assessment questions in your module, go and do the parts on substantive procedures until you get the skill, until you get what's happening, right? Are you in agreement? All right, that's fine. Just an appreciation of the comprehension of the paper. Did you understand the case study before you went to the required, before you started writing? All right, so tell us. Who were the auditors in this case study? So we are saying we are writing an applied auditing exam, right? For every point that you raise, for every valid point in your script, it has to be applied. Make sure your solution points relate to what's in the scenario, right? So if you want to talk about the auditors, in the case of your test 2, what was the name of the auditors? Sorry? If you could raise your hands. You don't remember? Yes? NCA, right? You can use abbreviations. It's known the auditor's name was, what was NCA? Name of the client. This case study was based on which client? Oh, you remember Samanyika? All right, so are you going to be writing in the test or in the exam? We only have 1 exam remaining. Are you going to be writing Samanyika in the exam? What was the name of the client? SCCE, right? So if you're speaking to the client, if you're speaking about the client, if you're writing about the client, make sure you refer to them as what? As SCCE. So that when someone is reading your script, they can tell when this student read, they understood who the client is, who the auditors are, what was the year end. Just an appreciation of this scenario before we even go to the required, before we even generate any solution points. What was the name of, what was the year end of this client? 30 June 2000. So you draw yourself a timeline. When was the beginning of the year? When is the year end? In case you might have to use information relating to subsequent events, in case you want to understand what happened during the year, because we'll tell you some transactions or some events occurred in December 2018. Does this affect you in this particular case? Anything post-year end, does it affect you as well? So that you know the type of client you're dealing with and the reporting period that you're also dealing with. Agreed? All right, that's fine. What else do we want to know? Was it a listed company? You want to know the listing status of the company, right? So that when you generate some solution points, if there is need for you to remember some rules that pertain to listed entities, you will speak the right things. You will write the right things in your what? In your solution. The industry in which they operated. Which industry did SCCE operate in? Telecommunication, right? So you can already picture an organization that has been described as SCCE. Can you relate it to any real life company? Try and think what happens in that organization. This is the business model of SCCE. This is how they operate, so that you understand the scenario for starters before you go to the required. Agreed? All right, that's fine. So we are saying you should know the name of the audit firm, the client, what was the company's year end, what was your role, right? So that when you are writing an email, so that when you're doing presentation, when you're scooping your presentation and communication marks, if there's need for an email, maybe you are a recently qualified chartered accountant from audit manager at mca.co.zw. What was the listing status and the industry in which SCCE operates, right? After this, you've understood the basics within the scenario. You've understood your client and you can generate your solution points. Understood? All right. Then we had working papers. When you read the scenario, can you tell this information maybe pertains to a particular required? This information in working paper 304 pertains to which required? You clearly understand that your scenario is split into working papers. Perfect. So you will not be writing solution points from information out of your scope. You won't. All right. There's a temptation to run with things in working paper 501 when as you've been told to stick to working paper 101. In as much as the information might sound appropriate, might sound correct, relevant, but if you've been scored in your required, make sure you stick to the what? To the source that you've been asked to work on. All right. So you've got your required with you, right? All right. Can someone read required A for us? Anyone? So I'm looking forward to an interactive session with you guys. You've got a required in front of you and I'm asking you to read the required. May you please read the required.
Required anyone. With reference to working paper 102, in background information, discuss the risk of material misstatement over revenue. If state the affected attention, present your solution in the following format. So you come out the table, then on the left side you have your risk, and then on the right side you have your affected attention.
All right, thank you for that. So how did you break down this required? How did you understand this required? What was the required asking of you? Let's break it down. Yes. All right. Can you take us slowly? We've just read the required for the first time. We are reading it for the second time. We want to identify keywords that are going to help us to generate our solution point. Right. Take us through.
Which means that we use it to only inherit and control over the transaction.
All right.
And I'll also indicate the applicable assertions and present the answer in the second point.
All right. Were you doing this for the whole scenario?
No.
But you keep the first part. All right. Okay, thank you so much for taking us through. Very correct. The scope is working paper 102 and background information. On a day that you're not told to refer to background information, can you draft a solution point using background information? Sorry? Yeah, a strong no and yes. Can you use background information on a day that you're not told to refer to background information? Yes. Shoot. It's from any part of the scenario where I can get the point. All right. All right. We are not clear yet. It's specified with reference to working paper 1 or 102, right? Then I'm talking about, let's say in the exam, if there doesn't state and background information, if you find something interesting in background information or something that you can use to generate your solution point for part A, would you use background information? It's either a yes or a no. All right, there was some yes. Who said yes? You were for the yes? Okay, I'm for yes. All right, background information is critical to us understanding the scenario, right? If the background information contains information that you can use in part A, B, C, D, up until G, make use of that information because it was given to you for you to further understand the scenario, right? So background information is yours. Use it throughout the paper. In as much as you've been restricted to working paper 102, 103, and 104. So please don't leave out some marks that are sitting in the background information. It's to show us that you understood the whole scenario, right? Risk of material misstatement over revenue, but the information is sitting within background information. Use it because it still applies to the whole case study, right? All right. So I'm not here to drive to the solution or correct solution points. I'm here to help you identify, to help you break down the scenario. Where were we getting the triggers? for us to generate this what? These points. Agreed? Okay. So now we are saying there is that table that we're supposed to present our work in. And then it said risk and then accession, affected accession. You were not supposed to present your work in any other format, strictly that table format, which was going to help you to scoop the presentation and communication mark because you followed an instruction. Understood? All right. Then there was one example which was given within the table. Do you think repeating that example will give you a mark? Oh! It's to guide you. That example was there to guide you. And this was the low-hanging fruit that you're not supposed to grab. All right, that's fine. So let's go. In the scenario, what triggered your risk of material misstatement over revenue? I just want you to show me a keyword or the paragraph where you saw a trigger that made you say there is risk of material misstatement over revenue. Let's go. We have the scenarios there. Some of them are highlighted already. Some of them. All right, to say? Mm-hmm. All right, thank you so much for that point. He says the entity is listed. There is a risk that revenue will be misstated due to listing. The moment an organization is listed for him, revenue risk and over or financial statement level, it's accession level. What do you think about that point? Today are the markers. So I'm sure in your scripts it was not marked, right? You need to have a strong trigger to say something happened to this listed entity or they played around revenue or something that made them want to maintain their listing. We need to have a strong trigger, which is not just to say they are listed, so risk of material statement over revenue is high, given that it is listed. You need a strong trigger. The listing is not justification to say there's a risk of misstatement over revenue. Understood? All right, that's why we don't have a mark on the listing data. Let's go. Other triggers. A keyword that you saw and you thought, yes, because of this, revenue might be misstated. So I'm sure you also have correct solution points, right? Guys, let's move. Let's have other people. Yes. Okay. In case there's need for you to discount revenue. All right. Okay. Thank you for that. So in this case study, was there an incident where you needed to discount revenue? Where? Yes? Perfect. You are connecting the dots, right? We've been given a post-tax discount rate. In the event that we've got a financing component in revenue, which discount rates do we use? Which discount rate do we use? So there is a risk of material misstatement over revenue since we may, or SCCE may have used the post-tax discount rate, right? Thank you for that one. Brilliant. Let's go. Another trick. So that information was given to you for you to use it in further understanding. It should ring a bell to you. Why have I been given a post-tax discount rate? Where am I going to use it, right? All right, let's have other triggers, guys. Yes?
So, say revenue may be recognized on the period for those claims you have. You pay annual period.
All right, revenue may be prematurely recognized by those clients who are paying for their revenue in what? In advance. So there is a risk that our revenue balance is misstated, right? So as we gather, as we generate our solution points, we are saying, what are the key issues in IFRS 15? Isn't that the standard relating to revenue? So given the information in the scenario, how does this affect my accounting for revenue? How does this affect my accounting for inventory or any other balance that you'll be given in the exam, right? So you will not have problems if you are sound with your financial accounting. You're asking yourself, risk of material misstatement over a particular balance. What can go wrong in financial accounting over inventory, over revenue, over trade receivables, right? So it's just a matter of knowing your FINAC, what can go wrong with regards to IFRS 15 and the information that I've been given. Some clients are paying in advance. There is a risk that we will recognize revenue prematurely before satisfying the performance obligation. Understood? All right, then we were asked to indicate the assertion. We saw different types of assertions. Then the smart ones would then write two assertions. Oh, you're asking us to choose the correct one there. Guys, don't play with your marks in the exam. What if you write two and you lose both? Tell me something. Wait, did you mean to say it's either... Guys, maybe be quiet. Did you mean to say this my risk pertains to occurrence and completeness, or occurrence or completeness? Guys at the back, is that a question? May you settle down so that we are just one class. You said it's end. Either or. All right, if the two are applicable, we'll give you a mark for one. So if you're confident with both, why not just write one? You've seen in your suggested solutions, there will be two assertions or something. So you're also that smart. Ah, perfect. But my take-home point is don't write two assertions by trying to fit maybe that one or that one. Otherwise, come here and you will lose both marks. There's a hand. All 8 points affect one assertion. And my required is out of 15. I'll think to myself, this student only knows accuracy. There can be a limitation, there can be a maximum to your accuracy at some point. In this case, it wasn't given, but how can you just run with accuracy? You can't think of the other ones. All right. For you to get to the 15, you will need to talk about the other assertions. It can't just be about accuracy. What if, guys, what if my required comes and it now says, discuss the risk of materials, say misstatement over revenue, address the following assertions: occurrence, accuracy, completeness. Then it will be 555. Will you survive that exam? Oh, isn't 13? Our next stop is the end of year exam, right? I'm taking you through exam technique. If now the required comes and it's limiting you to the assertions with 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 marks, will you survive? This was open. You wanted to say something? Then I'll know, but this person is guessing. It's okay. You've often seen that we put this repeated, unless if it's addressing accuracy and occurrence, then it's fine. That's okay. There was a hand at the back.
There are some key risks which you are able to address in a session, right? So for revenue, would it belong to someone who focuses much on completeness and accuracy? These are the key assertions of revenue. That's that focusing on quality doesn't really affect the keenness of revenue.
It's not a problem generating 4 marks on completeness, 4 marks on accuracy, or 5 marks on accuracy, right? But we are still arguing against the 50 requirement. Look at it in its entirety. If they have given revenue, what are the assertions related to a class of transactions? What are the assertions related to what to revenue? Then you address all of them. If you stick to accuracy only, risk of incorrect exchange rate, correctly calculate the discount, you will not get to the maximum amount. There are so many triggers that you could have identified and generate other assertion marks from there. So don't restrict yourself, right? All right. So as you practice, even if you get a question that does not speak to assertions, try and think about the assertions. You never know what you'll be examined on, right? All right. Let's move on. Part B. Oh, it was A2. No. Sorry?
the company was 8 ranges. So
Go ahead.
the risk was like the risk that really populate inclusive.
You saw that this organization is a VAT registered operator, right? There is a risk that revenue might be recognized inclusive of VAT. Agreed. He saw the trigger, he addressed it. You see a trigger, you address it, right? Good. Let's move on so that we finish all required. A2. Anyone to read that part for us? Thank you. What was that required asking of us? What were you expected to do on this required? How did you break it down? When you saw it, you were like, substantive procedure. How did you address this one? Guys, you need to respond. Yes? All right, so to guide him, he has identified risk of material misstatement at assertion level over revenue in part A. So now part B, he wants to obtain, or A2, he wants to obtain information or substantive procedures to audit that account balance. How are you going to satisfy yourself that this account balance is accurate, it's complete, it's actually okayed, right? So what procedures were you going to carry out over revenue? 4 points. Maximize on general substantive procedures. Understood? Do you know these general substantive procedures? Can I have an example? Guys, it's not a class of 5 people. Is that a hand? Oh, blue dress. Example of general substantive procedures. That I like the first part. All right, the correct way, thank you. The correct way is what she said. You've often seen an upside down V in your script, right? Over that procedure. It's obtained as signed and dated management representation letter, including all assertions over what, over revenue, over PPE, over the cash balance. Your management rep letter has to be signed and dated, right? Good. Another example. So if we cannot generate general, yes. Cast and it's a listing of what? Okay. Cast the detailed listing of the revenue and agree to trial balance, agree to the general ledger, trial balance, and annual financial statements, right? All right. So we've said you should maximize on general substantive procedures. Then your substantive procedures should be valid. Your substantive procedures should have a what? 3 keywords. A how, what, and a why, right? Let it have, before you leave your written procedure, let it have the how, the what, and the why, right? The why has often been left out by students. This relates to an assertion. Why are you doing that substantive procedure? Agree the detailed listing of cast and cross-cast the revenue schedule to confirm mathematical accuracy. There is a why at the end. There is a reason why you are doing it, so that you obtain audit evidence through the use of what? Substantive procedures, right? So before you move on to the next substantive procedures, in the event that they examine the year-end exams, right? Make sure your substantive procedure, if you read it on your own, you can tell, yes, they say how, what, and the why. I have my mark in the bag. Understood? All right. So these substantive procedures, we are just saying we want to obtain information over the revenue balance or any other balance to say, yes, it is correct. So this is how I'm going to carry out procedures for me to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence over revenue. And what else were you going to do over this revenue balance for SPCA? General substantive procedures, we've got them. Already we are at 5 marks. Let's dig in. Or it means something is missing. Yes, something was missing. You can't even tell what's missing. There is no quarter mark. I'm sure for test 2 you saw a lot of those upside down fees. End of year exams, you will not have them, trust me. The lines, oh, yeah, the line is even worse. At least the upside down fees at a particular point in time. The line is for everything. So as we practice, let's have valid substantive procedures, right? Tell us, well, what substantive procedures are you going to generate over revenue for SCC? You'd only get 4 marks and you go. All right, if you actually say the ones with the missing item, we will help you to say what was the missing point. Tell us. So how are we going to learn? Because next I'm moving to part B.
On the internet, there's also another report about the contract, not necessarily revenue, but the contract.
What about the contract?
So affects revenue.
All All right, so as the auditor, what would you do to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to say the contracts that were entered into are feeding into my revenue? What would you do to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence? So in the absence of any solution points, I will move to part B. And thank you. Okay, take us through slowly. And the why. All right, read your solution points. I will identify the how, what, and the why. All right. Where would you know the correct rate from? From? All right, did you write that? No. There is no clear. That's why you got the how. You're in the right direction, very much. Yes.
Just for the question, also support. I mean, look, the thing is, this exam with one is there's also an aspect of time management. So I mean, at least yes, Ross's point is trying to address everything. In the exam highlighted that they need for the exchange rate, whatever the point is. I mean, now to get going, they're big and stuff. Once you're trying to achieve the whole paper, how can you make the exam? No, I'm just asking because I'm not saying what you're saying is valid, but it's just trying to get to a point where I really understand.
All right, we gave him half because there was something missing to confirm that the correct exchange rate was used. Which correct exchange rate? How do we ascertain that on 31 March the exchange rate was 1:11? We will need you to go and obtain the prevailing rate at that day at reputable financial institutions so that you confirm it was correctly calculated. And he brought in two aspects. All right, guys, can we settle? He actually brought in two aspects. He's going the exchange rate route, and he now speaks about invoices. All right, you're introducing a document already. Is it on the invoice that you actually inspect for that? You can generate other procedures over the invoice, over the documentation, which is you fitted it in where it was not applicable. So your how, what is the correct document and why you are doing it relates to the assertion, right? Otherwise, you need to state from a reputable financial institution. Can someone else give us where they got a half or nothing? Yes. And confirm that The foreign currency have been. And what did you get? All right. How do you confirm? Sorry? You confirm with what? Sales schedule. All right, it's fine. How else can you confirm? By recalculating. If this is going to be your life end of year exams, we better grasp the skill so that we will not have this missing. Yes. What assumption? All right, guys, can you hold on to your points? We still have a lot of requires to do, and we have got a lot of upside down fees. You still have a chance to air your points. Let's move on to part B. Assumptions which relates to a complex calculation, right? Or a calculation which is subjected. All right, guys. I don't understand why we have so much noise at the back. Can we please settle? The person sitting next to you is not a mark. Yes. From her point, you are saying confirm is the how. No, confirm was used to tell us about the why. Let her read her point again. All right, guys, can we move on? Can someone read part B for us? All right, thank you so much for that one. How did you apply this requirement? What came into your mind when you saw the requirement? Answer 16. All right. It's using the word of what? Who was IT tech? An auditor's expert. So you knew where to go to in your standard. All right, that's fine. So now you are going to use the information in working paper 103 to describe the next time you call noise from that end and the to the front. You have the corner of the noise from that end. The difference now is describe the substantive audit procedures to be carried out before reliance can be placed on the work of what? An auditor's expert, right? As change from the required that we are used to say, describe factors to consider before using the work of an auditor's expert, right? All right. Now it's in the form of substantive procedures. How then did you tackle it? We say substantive procedures should have a what? And why the same applies. All right. Okay, give it to us. All right. Inspect their website to confirm their. All right. Would you be satisfied with the information that's on the website? And don't you have stronger sources of obtaining information with regards to their competence? To confirm their existence.
For a person, it's probably going to be bilingual. For a company, you go to their website and you go to
all right. I would go for stronger evidence of their existence and competence. All right. What other points did you have? Oh, the other one, you got the marks. Give us the one which had marks.
Inspect the qualifications of the five.
What?
Qualifications and the five actuaries by searching on the Institute of Actuaries qualified them online to confirm that they are qualified members with up-to-date knowledge.
Perfect. Not to say on their website they would lie about their qualifications and all, but can't we get information from the Institute of Actuaries? Can't we get about information with regards to their qualifications so that we know, yes, they are capable of performing this job? So we have the standard with us, right? Our ISA 610, ISA 620. You know what? In the exam, I'm just going to go and copy this ISA because we are going to apply with regards to ISA 610. So we just don't copy what is the standard, right? Since we are teaching level 1, apply quantitative students. Agreed. All right, so I like the comment that he gave to say, since we are writing an exam and we need to write a lot or we need to move, but don't write incomplete points for you to move for the quantity of your work. You'd rather write a valid point and move on.
And I tell you one of the questions was a 30-mark question. I'm trying to put 28 out of it. But I didn't finish it. Then now,
and you passed.
Now coming to the I think we finished the section. Now coming to the test 2. That's what so guys.
I need to move.
A lot of stuff. Then now it's like now I get a whole lot of beef.
So now, what I will tell you is, between now and October, you are going to practice outside the exam. Your hand needs to know how to move. in an auditing exam. Controls need, yes, then fine, you scooped everything, you got a 28. There was a lot, right? But are you practicing outside the exam? That fitness to say I need to be able to finish a 3-hour auditing exam and have time to actually inspect my responses before they go to CAA. No. So when it's time up, you'll be actually saying, oh, full stop. Oh. You see people disaster. All right, guys, let's move on. We discussed the standard. If it's anything to do with going concern ISA 570, using the work of internal auditors, experts, you do not download the standard. You apply it. And if you want to check the qualifications, if you want to inspect the qualifications, where are you inspecting them from? Not just so we are saying, don't repeat the what's in the standards. Tell me where you would go to, which institute, where would you obtain information on what is competence, what is qualification, what is experience, right? All right. Anyone to read part C for us? All right, thank you. How did you tackle that one? In the work of external audit, which standard is that? So you knew you had to go to ISA 610. All right. Then what was there in the scenario? What was in the scenario? Working paper 104. We had triggers, right? How did you do on this required? They were upside down V's. All right. So I want you to tell me key considerations to be made before relying on the work of the internal audit department. There are triggers, right? Before you could tell that there are issues, before you can rely on the work of the internal audit, what is the impact on the internal audit work that makes you not to rely, given that Nemairo Kupeta has inherited a 5% stake in SCCE upon the death of his father? What is the problem with him having a 5% stake in SCCE? So the temptation was you would just identify triggers from the scenario, write it on your solution, trigger, solution, trigger, solution. But I want you to tell me what is the problem with Nemairo Kupeta having a 5% interest in SCCE. What was the problem there? Sorry? Independence. All right, tell me more. Generate it as a valid point. How did you weight that one? That's where you ended. And you got a mark. So can you give us your point? Come here, Enda, you'll be writing valid points. A valid, correct? Tell us. Isn't in ISA 610, there are factors to consider before relying on the work of internal audit. We then give you triggers, right? You want the internal audit department to be objective, right? how has the objectivity been impaired by Clive Zepasi holding, being a brother to being a sister? How does it affect objectivity, right? They are reporting structures. The fact that they report to the CEO, what is the impact that makes you not to have to consider before you can rely on the work of the internal audit department? That is where the upside down information, the missing information was. Please make use of the standard, but just don't take the trigger, put a heading to say objectivity, competence, and independence. Then you say Liz is sister to Chebundo. So if they're brother and sister, what's the problem there? Understood? Are you correcting yourselves already? All right, let's have a point which was, yes. Okay.
Internal auditing is not equipped to do their duties, since they have to resort to intimidatory.
All right. If they resort to intimidatory techniques, what will happen? It's not, at the end, the department is not efficient in their operations, right? So have a reason to say, now that they're intimidatory tactics within this organization, it means the internal audit department will not operate effectively, since if they want to do something objective, they'll be deterred by Ani Pingagwar. Right? Yes. All right, with reference to working paper 104, discuss key considerations to be made before relying on the work of internal audit department. So for the benefit of those who are listening online, she is saying, would it be wrong to then refer to what King 4 says with regards to the internal audit function? What's your take? Did you stick to ISA 610? Did you go to King 4? This your time agenda, huh? Yes. Familiarity threat is talked about in King 4. All right, thank you for that. Yes, you could go and use King 4, you could go and use the CPC if it created familiarity threat due to being Agwarwa, being sister, being brother to Clive, being sister with Liz would affect their objectivity. So we have pointers in ISA 610. Then also you can go to King 4, which speaks about the function of the internal audit department, who the chief audit executive should be, who the department reports to, who should be in the department, their qualifications. So yes, you could use King 4 and ISA 610. All right, thank you for that one. All right, let's move on. Communication and logical flow marks. The fact that you were applying as you were writing your solution points, right, would get you a communication mark, would give you a logical flow mark to say you went to the King 4 to get ideas there. But if you're just downloading ISA 610 scenario solution, then you wouldn't get any communication marks, right? All right. So our take-home point, guys, end of year exams, we will write valid and complete marks. Agreed? All right. Anyone to read part D for us? And there were 1,000 of upside down V's on this required. Anyone? D1? Using the information in working paper 101, evaluate the suitability of the use of the going concern assumption. So, guys, may you be quiet. We are saying SCCE is a going concern, but given some few triggers that are in the scenario, can we guarantee that SCCE is a going concern? Which triggers were those? Yes. They lost a number of key personnel in the IT department, and what else? And the finance department as well, right? All right, does that affect going concern? Reason behind SCCE's success, right? All right, that's fine. So how does that affect, you've seen the trigger, well done. How does that render going concern questionable? They'll not be able to continue operating without their team behind their success. So their going concern becomes questionable. We want you to bring out the impact of losing key personnel. If you go to ISA 570, there is a list of factors that render your going concern questionable, right? So you can't just say loss of key personnel. You've lost them, we'll replace them tomorrow. If they are not there, if the key, if the finance manager is away and has not been replaced, what will happen? There are likely going to be loopholes in controls, right? Which will affect our going concern. Bring out the how does it affect going concern. Agreed, guys? How is the mic already? Go ahead.
What's evaluate?
All right.
In my solution point, I got that line, that's disturbing line. However, because where I've interpreted the question, I usually I say the following factors, right? All the triggers increases the going concerns. So I said to list my triggers.
All right. So he identified triggers that increase going concern risk. Evaluate the suitability of the use of the going concern assumption. Is it appropriate to have used the going concern assumption given my triggers are in SCCE? Yes, you would get a mark for a conclusion. Evaluate the suitability. Is it suitable for them to use the going concern assumption? No, given these factors, right, yes, it is suitable for them to use the going concern assumption, given that they are mitigatory plans in action, which is A, B, C, D. They are negotiating with their subsidiary to help them increase their, to get out of their going concern issues. That's the evaluation part. The negatives and the positives, yes. All right, so there's a question there. Can you give me another trigger, which is not that one? Suppliers are demanding upfront payment. If suppliers are demanding cash or upfront payments, what's the impact on your going concern? What's the effect on your going concern? You may not be able to continue operating as a going concern since there are challenges with obtaining cash, since the cash and cash equivalent is declining. They may not have cash to pay for supplies upfront. Therefore, this may hold production. This may hold, SSE was in the, there's no production in SCC, right? This may hold, hinder their operations since they may not have the cash upfront. Tell us the effect, right? Then if a company is experiencing a decline in profits, does that render going concern questionable? What if the following year will be fine? Yes.
Because you know why? That trend of maybe something to success also improve the camera.
Thank you.
However, you can also look at you don't ever steal.
So if we are not given any trigger, stay away from that. There was no one stealing. We use information that should be. Yes. Yeah. Are you supportive or you're against? Wait, what's your point? All right, if there's a decline in profits, maybe it's out of SCC's control. Maybe the economic environment is in a downward trend, right? Then, as an operation, as an organization, their cash and cash equivalent is declining. When as their suppliers are requesting for cash, how then are they going to settle those suppliers? When concerned, questionable. It's okay. All right, guys. So for every going concern trigger, that is supported with a what? With an impact. For every use of the auditor's expert, please tell us how you're going to do it. For every internal auditor's use of internal auditor's work, tell us what is the impact on the internal audit department. They are brother and sister, so they are reporting to the CEO. What's the impact? What should they have been doing in terms of team for what should be the best practice? Understood? So we say we are doing applied auditing. Let every point of yours have a support to say I'm applying. The going concern is questionable given that there is this issue. Not to just list triggers as found in the eyes. All right. Yes. There is going to be. All right. Did you substantiate them with the impact on SCCE? SCCE is operating in an environment where inflation is at the peak, right? The going concern. You wrote that? But you are getting the skill? But you are getting the skill. Okay, so you will find actually in ISA 570, there are financial triggers, there are operating triggers, and there are other, right? So if you look at the examples, you can tell, yes, this relates to G. You can tell this relates to SCCE's condition. Then there was part 2. Describe the substantive audit procedures. They didn't get a long taking pictures in that. I shall not study someone else's script. Guidelines required. Describe the substantive audit procedures you would carry out over the financial assistance to be offered by Manway Limited to Tanganyika Cable Communication Enablement. So as you can see, the paper can be 60% of substantive procedures. Do yourself a favor, just understand them and go to the exam. How, or what, and why? You actually be thinking to yourself, yes, you can get to that point. All right, so you were told the narration on the financial assistance that a subsidiary was going to give, right? Is there any information in ISA 570 to this effect? There is. You use that information as a checklist against what you are going to do on the financial assistance from management. All right. Obtain a cash flow from management. Now you are applying. Which management? Is it from the management of Mangwe? Is it from the management of SCCE? No, it's Mangwe. A cash flow forecast for 5 years. Inspect for assumptions. There was a person who liked assumptions. Yeah. Now you can use those assumptions, reasonableness, right? You are told Mangwe was actually facing trajectory ratios in their operations, right? Are they able to sustain the crisis which SCCE is in, right? It was said they would offer them assistance. You want to go and inspect the board minutes where it was agreed that Mangwe will assist SCCE in the event of challenges, right? To what extent are they going to assist them? Will it enable SCCE to get out of their going concern crisis? So as guided by your ISA 570, now we're just asking you to generate substantive procedures. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay, so he's saying the financial assistance has not yet been granted. It's yet to be offered. So what substantive procedures would you carry out over the assistance from Mangwe Limited to Samanyika? Did you read the scenario and understood the story whereby in the event that SCCE is in going concern crisis, Mangwe would come through and assist? That part you understood. Now we are asking you, can you generate substantive procedures over that financial assistance which they are going to give, right? They are promising as a subsidiary, we will help you out in the event of a going concern crisis, but you're also struggling. Will you be able to assist us, right? You will assist SCCE with the maximum. Obtain the minutes where it was agreed that you would assist, right? Inspect the terms and conditions. We will only assist to the tune of 1 million, right? Let me calculate your ratios and understand, are you able to sustain crisis which SCCE has? So look at the information to say, bring your complaints to me. You are still going to offer that assistance. Let me inspect that offer to say, will it help us out of this crisis? So guys, before you answer your solution, understand the case study, understand the story. Don't be quick to write. Increase in your quantity on your script, which will help you to sleep at home, but without valid points at school. Because surely when you leave the exam room, you'll be saying, audit, done. And we're not going for the supplementary, right? All right. Okay, and we are going to level 2. Perfect. So, so we'll see you next year. All right. Then there was required E. Anyone to read that? All right, thank you for that. With reference to working paper 106, discuss the impact of matter 1 and 2 individually on the audit report and opinion. Do you know the steps to audit, evaluating, concluding, and reporting? Do you know those steps? Those 5 or 6 steps that will help you to scoop all the marks. Did you follow those steps and you got the marks? We don't rob anyone of their marks. So there are steps that you are supposed to follow. Guys, may you be quiet. I can't keep shouting. There are steps that you're supposed to follow as per what's reporting in our ISAs. ISA 700. Any modifications? 705, 710 and going on, right? All right. So, matter 1, you're going to tell us what was the issue. The organization disclosed clients' confidential information, right? They have refused to record this in the financial statements. Then you now shine with your FINAC knowledge. This renders a what? Is it a provision? What should have management done? Yes. Is non-compliance with? All right. Now that there is a charge, there is 80% chance that the court will settle against those are triggers. It's meant to make you think. IS 10, IS 37. Don't just read information and move. Try and think, can I relate to this information? Think across the lines. Is this anything to do with my tax? Is this anything to do with my FINAC? Is this anything to do with my month-end, right? Showcase your knowledge in the exam. Surely we'll be proud of you. So we are saying state the matter, number one, right? You are given a materiality. You should know the steps and know them well so that you don't miss any mark. You state the matter. You were given the materiality figure. Is it quantitatively material? Yes or no, given that it exceeds the materiality figure. 13, we are doing application. Given that it exceeds the materiality figure, it is qualitatively material since it's non-compliance with what? Non-compliance with IFRI's laws and regulations. If you actually know the law, tell us. Non-compliance with EMA, non-compliance with the RBZ, so that you show you are a business student and you're in this. Yes. Yeah, what does IS 37 principles say? Tell us if you're seeing a provision. Tell us this issue is a contingent liability. Tell us what it is exactly. Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you the question was saying the amounts are inclusive of VAT.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I had to remove the VAT and assess the penalty excluding VAT. I don't know, I saw somebody putting those like, maybe it's not corrected, I don't know, because I thought how to assess those VAT state another amount. So I thought maybe it's excluded first. Then we can assess the quantitative test.
Will a fine come with VAT? Will a fine come with VAT? They are being fined. It's not income which is coming to SCCE. It's a fine that they are being charged by. Yeah.
But there's more amount of you see more amount of VAT.
So you wanted VAT in a fine? Oh, thank you for whispering that, Tim. All right, guys, can we continue? So you're saying, what is the matter? You assess quantitatively material, qualitatively material, you assess the pervasiveness of the issue, right? And now that you know what pervasiveness means, you tell us it affects more than one account balance. You tell us to the dot, right? It is a factual misstatement. Why are you saying it's factual? Don't just leave it like this is a factual misstatement. There is no doubt that they disclosed clients' information and the clients have sued them, right? It's a judgmental misstatement since there is use of a what? An estimate. It's a projected misstatement since it was done on a sample. Make sure you use the correct point to the end. Now you're supposed to conclude, given that the issue is material and pervasive, I would express a what? Adverse opinion. Given that the matter is material but not pervasive, I would express a what? A qualified opinion. Flow through from the start, step 1 to the end. And did it? All right, that's fine. Now my required say on the audit report and audit opinion. What will be the difference if the only say on the audit opinion? All right, what are you supposed to do in this required? What would be the impact of an adverse opinion on the audit report? And if you get this one right, then we'll call it a day. What is the impact of an adverse opinion on the audit report? Yes. They are supposed to listen to this point very right. They are supposed to include a basis of qualification, basis of adverse opinion, basis of qualification, paragraph in the audit report. So had you stopped it on opinion only, you are just going to tell us it's an adverse opinion, it's a qualified opinion, right? But now that it has gone further to ask the audit report, there is that mark for telling us include in the audit report a basis of qualification paragraph. The opinion had its mark.
There was no mark.
You wrote an opinion.
Yes.
Your opinion was correct, flowing from the top.
Yes.
If it was correct, well done. Did you tell us about materiality? Did you tell us about pervasiveness? Did you tell us about everything? You can't tell us about some stuff.
So if I don't try all of the 5 and I come to the opinion and give you a correct opinion.
A correct opinion from where?
From the little that I've written.
There's no correct opinion from the little that you've written. If it's not flowing. Then, to our disappointment, can you read for us? Explain how you respond to it. When you read that measure, excuse me. When you read that matter, what came into your mind? Well done. So I'm sure those who got very little marks had not seen that it's not clear. Please do not just download Section 265, Section 310 of the CPC to outline the steps. Guys, this was a lot. It was 16 marks actually. Don't just say, obtain an understanding of the matter, discuss the matter, determine whether further action is needed, apply the further action, document, consider withdrawing from the client, and you go.
Can I tell you my text line? MCA should obtain an understanding of the matter by obtaining information regarding the period of the data.
All right. Was the matter on disappearance of data? Which he ordered the operations director to what? So there was an order from the, all right, for starters, what made you say it's a NOCLA issue? Okay. Who had performed this act? What made you say I'm going NOCLA route? Thank you. The perpetrator was a CA. I think it was said at the start. Yes. Sorry? Oh, guys, may you be quiet? All right, who then would have identified the issue? And what was your role in this case? And you were a recently qualified chartered accountant. So really the way that, if it's NOCLA, the way that it will be set up, the triggers will be there. It was done. It was identified by someone, by you. You are an audit manager, a recently qualified CA. You are a third-year trainee within the system, or the finance manager has identified an issue that was done by someone within the profession, right? Then you know I'm supposed to report to NOCLA route. If it's not that way, maybe you then see I'm supposed to report which other route? Which other route? ISA? Are you writing next month? ISA 250. All right, guys. So I want you, isn't you already, your standards are flagged on NOCLA. Maximize on NOCLA marks in the event that they come in the what? In the test or, in the exam. Right. All right. With that being said, good people, thank you so much. See you over the weekend in the next class. Thank you. Okay.